What you're about to see is real, raw, and absolutely mind-blowing. Trains are among the most powerful machines on Earth, but when things go wrong, the destruction is off the charts. Every clip in this countdown is authentic footage, no CGI, no stock video. I've tracked down the most jaw-dropping train disasters ever caught on camera. We'll break down exactly what happened and what could have stopped these catastrophes. This isn't just for shock value, it's about understanding the power and danger of these machines. Let's dive into the most shocking train collisions ever filmed. Our first story takes us to the historic city of Santiago de Compostella in Spain, a place known for its ancient pilgrimage routes and beautiful architecture. But in July 2013 it became the site of one of the most shocking train disasters in recent memory. On a warm summer evening, a high-speed passenger train was barreling down the tracks, carrying over 200 people. As it neared a notorious sharp curve, a large sign warned 50 miles per hour. This was a spot every local engineer knew demanded caution. But inside the cockpit the speedometer needle was soaring, past 100, past 110, and then over 120 miles per hour. The train was moving at more than twice the safe limit for that curve, a speed that left no room for error. Security cameras captured the terrifying moment. The train, a blur of motion, shot into the frame. In a split second, the unthinkable happened. The cars began to lurch and twist, metal screeching against metal. The lead engine slammed violently into a concrete wall, instantly derailing. The cars behind it jackknifed and piled up, folding like an accordion, creating a mountain of twisted steel and shattered glass. The force was so great that one of the train cars was launched clear off the tracks, landing on a road above the railway. The scene was pure chaos, debris everywhere, emergency alarms blaring, and stunned survivors scrambling for safety. Investigators quickly zeroed in on the cause. The driver, a veteran with years of experience, had been distracted by a phone call, ironically, a call from a railway official. In those crucial seconds, he lost track of his speed and the deadly curve ahead. Realizing his mistake, he slammed on the brakes, but the train's massive momentum made stopping impossible. The wheels screeched, sparks flew, but physics had already sealed the train's fate. This disaster exposed a critical flaw. There was no automatic braking system in place to override human error. Had such a system been active, it could have slowed the train automatically, preventing catastrophe. The aftermath was heartbreaking. 79 people lost their lives, and more than 100 were injured, families shattered, futures changed forever. All because of a single moment of distraction and a missing safety net. The security footage, replayed around the world, became a chilling reminder that even the most skilled operators are still human, capable of mistakes with devastating consequences. That's why safety systems aren't just a luxury, they're essential. They serve as the last line of defense when everything else fails, catching errors before they become tragedies. In the wake of the crash, railways around the world took notice. New protocols, stricter regulations, and advanced technology were put in place to ensure that such a disaster would never happen again. The lesson from Santiago de Compostela is clear. One small mistake can unleash consequences beyond imagination, affecting not just those on board, but entire communities. As we move on, let's see what happens when two trains are on a collision course, head-on, with nowhere to go. The 2008 Chadzsworth collision in Los Angeles, an event that would forever change the way America thinks about rail safety, began on a seemingly ordinary afternoon. The sun was shining, commuters were heading home, and no one suspected that disaster was just moments away. What unfolded became one of America's worst rail disasters, a tragedy that shocked the nation and exposed the deadly consequences of a single mistake. On that fateful day, a Metrolink commuter train packed with passengers and a massive Union Pacific freight train found themselves barreling toward each other on the same stretch of track. Both trains, heavy and fast, were completely unaware of the impending danger until it was far too late. The Metrolink engineer, distracted by texting on his phone, missed a critical red signal. That single lapse in attention meant the train rolled past the stop point and onto a single track already occupied by the oncoming freight train. In the cab, the engineer's focus was split, and the consequences would be devastating. The freight train's horn blared desperately, echoing across the valley, but there was no time to stop. The two trains were closing in at a combined speed of over 80 miles per hour. In those final seconds, there was nothing anyone could do to prevent the inevitable. The collision was catastrophic. The Metrolink engine was shoved deep into the first passenger car, the force so great that steel crumpled like paper, and windows shattered instantly. The sound of twisting metal and breaking glass filled the air, and chaos erupted as the cars buckled and derailed. In the aftermath, the scene was heartbreaking. 25 people lost their lives, and more than 130 were injured, some critically. Families were torn apart, and first responders worked tirelessly to pull survivors from the wreckage. All of it, the result of a single distracted moment behind the controls. The disaster sent shockwaves through the rail industry and led directly to the creation of Positive Train Control, or PTC, a sophisticated safety system designed to automatically stop trains before they can run a red signal or collide. PTC uses GPS, wireless radio, and computers to monitor train positions and speeds, stepping in when human error threatens lives. The lesson was clear and tragic. Technology must be there to back up human operators because even a moment's distraction can have irreversible consequences. Today, engineers know they're not alone in the cab. PTC is always watching, ready to intervene. The legacy of Chadzsworth is a massive leap forward in rail safety. Trains across the country now run with advanced safeguards, and countless lives have been protected as a result. It's a testament to learning from tragedy and refusing to let history repeat itself. Now, let's head to Japan, where the relentless pressure to be on time led to a very different kind of disaster, one that would also leave a lasting mark on rail safety worldwide. In 2005, Japan, a nation celebrated for its meticulous attention to safety and efficiency, was rocked by a disaster that seemed unthinkable. The Yamagasaki rail crash shattered the country's sense of security, leaving a deep scar on its collective memory. For a country where trains are almost never late, the events of that day were both shocking and sobering. The story centers on a young, relatively inexperienced driver. He was running just 90 seconds behind schedule, a tiny delay by most standards, but in Japan's rail system, even seconds matter. Under immense pressure to recover lost time, he made a fateful decision. As the train approached a notoriously sharp curve, he accelerated to nearly 70 miles per hour, far exceeding the 43 miles per hour speed limit for that section. The consequences were immediate and catastrophic. The train derailed, its first car careening off the tracks and smashing directly into a nearby apartment building. The force of the impact was so great that the train car became lodged deep inside the structure, leaving a scene of utter devastation. Witnesses described the aftermath as surreal: twisted metal, shattered glass, and the haunting sight of a train car embedded in a place where families lived. Emergency crews rushed to the scene, but the scale of the destruction was overwhelming. Investigators soon uncovered a troubling truth. The crash was not just a result of human error, but of a deeply ingrained culture within the railway company. Even minor delays were met with harsh punishments, creating an environment where drivers felt compelled to take dangerous risks just to avoid disciplinary action. The young driver, terrified of being forced into humiliating retraining programs or losing his job, chose speed over safety. His fear and anxiety clouded his judgment, leading to a decision that would have tragic consequences for so many. In the end, 107 people lost their lives, and more than 500 others were injured. The tragedy sent shockwaves through Japan, prompting national mourning and soul-searching about the true cost of relentless efficiency. The disaster forced the railway company to completely overhaul its approach to safety and management. New policies were introduced, focusing on support and training rather than punishment, and the entire industry was forced to confront the dangers of a culture driven by fear. The lesson from Yamagasaki is clear: when pressure and fear become part of the job, they can be just as deadly as distraction or negligence. True safety comes from understanding, support, and a willingness to put people before timetables. The haunting image of that train lodged in a building stands as a permanent warning, a stark reminder that no matter the pressures, safety must always come first. Bad Aibling, Germany, 2016. A disaster caused by a chain of small human errors. Two passenger trains, scheduled to pass on a single-track line, are both given permission to proceed by a distracted dispatcher. The dispatcher, playing a game on his phone, forgets one train is already on the track. He tries to send an emergency warning but hits the wrong button. The trains collide head-on at 60 miles per hour, telescoping into each other in a horrifying V-shape. Rescue is hampered by the remote wooded location. 12 people die, nearly 90 are injured. The crash shows how a single moment of inattention in a control room can lead to devastation miles away. Fail-safe systems are critical. One person's mistake should never be able to cause such tragedy. Graniteville, South Carolina, 2005. A disaster that poisoned an entire town. A simple mistake, a railroad switch left in the wrong position. A freight train is diverted onto a siding and crashes into a parked train. The real nightmare begins when a tanker of chlorine gas ruptures, releasing a deadly cloud over Graniteville. 9 people die, over 250 are hospitalized, and the town is evacuated. The images are haunting, a toxic fog rolling through empty streets. The cause? One forgotten switch. This disaster highlighted the dangers of transporting hazardous materials and the need for strict safety protocols. Sometimes the cargo is deadlier than the crash itself. Hoboken Terminal NJ 2016. A commuter train fails to stop, plowing into the station. The train enters at over 20 miles per hour, double the speed limit, and smashes through the bumping post, collapsing the station roof. Chaos erupts. 1 person is killed, over 100 injured. The cause? The engineer suffered from undiagnosed sleep apnea and lost consciousness. This crash exposed gaps in medical screening for train operators. It also renewed calls for automatic safety systems to stop trains if the operator is incapacitated. Sometimes disaster isn't about distraction or error, it's about hidden health risks. Chicago OHare, 2014. A train does the impossible and drives up an escalator. The operator, exhausted from overtime, falls asleep as the train enters the station. The train overruns the platform, crashes through the bumping post, and climbs halfway up the main escalator. Miraculously, no one is killed, but over 30 are injured. The same operator had fallen asleep on the job before. This crash exposed a systemic failure. Overworked, fatigued operators allowed to keep driving. The CTA overhauled scheduling and safety systems after this disaster. The image of a train on an escalator is unforgettable, a wild symbol of the dangers of fatigue. These crashes show the raw power and danger of trains. One mistake, one distraction, or one missed signal can change everything. Tragedies like these have forced the industry to get safer, with new tech and better procedures. The lesson? Always respect the rails, whether you're a passenger, driver, or pedestrian. Stay alert, follow signals, and never underestimate these machines. Which crash shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.